The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Sicilian Corner, winner of the Italian Heritage Media Award, with your hosts, Tom Zappala and Mike Lamazzo.
You know something? This is really I'm getting tired of this. This guy is MIA every other week. I mean, what's going on?
He sure gets a lot of vacation time.
I mean, I've never seen a man take as many vacations as Mike Lamazzo every other week. Does anybody even know where he is?
No, I Googled it, and Google doesn't know either. So
I mean, I don't know if he's off gambling.
Probably.
Or he's in the White Mountains with his squeeze. He could be anywhere.
I'm going with gambling.
But, Tom, you know, when he's here, he gives 110%.
He does, Joe.
I mean,
he does.
90% maybe.
There is no doubt.
75 to 80%. He does on most days.
He does. And I have to agree with that. So what I did was I brought in the first string from Sicily and from Massachusetts, our good friend, Austin Prep alum, Joe Sciacca, who is now with Channel 7, formerly the editor of the Herald. Yep. And in between, from beginning, what was the first? Was it the Lowell? Was it?
First daily paper was the Lowell Sun.
Lowell Sun, and then to the Trib?
Yeah, and then the Tribune, yeah.
Then the Trib.
Yep.
So Joe Sciacca's in the house with us. Yep. Joe is a media mogul, as they say, has been for 100 years. And then Big Brother Al in Sicily. Al, I'm not sure about the hat. Austin?
I don't care what you're sure of. I'm a cougar. I'm a cougar before you're a cougar. I'm a cougar before you or Joe.
Well, Joe is the middle cougar. Yeah. He was the middle cougar because I was ahead of you.
When did you graduate?
I don't want to push that because I'm a little younger than you guys.
You're not that much younger.
But, 1975, I was.
So he was 5 years behind me, and I was 15 years behind you. Yeah. Al was the first. Al graduated with St. Augustine.
15 years behind me.
Right?
I just got that joke.
I was there. I was there when it was all boys.
As was
and the
I.
priests were there. So, I was there for the old school, Yeah.
When we were there, Al, there was the transition was starting to take place. I had more lay teachers than you did, I believe. You had all priests just about, didn't you?
I didn't have all priests. I had lay people. But what happened after I graduated, the school experienced severe financial problems. And then from that, and there was retrenchment going on with the Augustinian priests.
Well, I was there. I was part of it. That was 1968. The Austin prepped a school that wouldn't die.
Right, exactly right. And then what happened was a lay board took over.
That's correct.
There was a lay board, and ever since then, the school has done great.
Oh yeah,
great.
I tell you, I remember
terrific.
I was the editor of the school paper there, The Legend, and it came out so infrequently they used to call it The Myth sometimes. But I wrote an editorial one time, just saying, would Austin Prep ever go co-ed? Is it possible it might go co-ed? Could that happen? Wrote the editorial, got called down to the headmaster's office at the time, and he's like, where'd you get that idea? It's like, I've been getting calls from parents, because the kids bring the paper home to the parents. They were, objecting to that. They sent their kids to get them away from girls and all the trouble. They kept them there. But Austin made a great strategic decision.
Oh, fantastic.
When they went co-ed. They really raised the bar, and they saved the school financially.
Absolutely.
And now it's doing really. I mean,
Joe,
went from the brink of extinction, Alfred, when you guys were there, to the point now where it's.
We had candlelight vigils. Do you remember that? And the Boston newspapers were great. I mean, the parents, the students at night, candlelight vigils. All over the newspaper, we got a lot of support from the different newspapers to keep that school open. And I got to say something. I'm tip of the cap to our father. My dad, Al's dad, he was on the board. They were very, very much involved with that whole transition of taking over, going from all clergy to a lay board of directors. Yeah. Really made the difference.
I tell you, when you think
there
about,
was a lot of. Excuse me.
Go ahead, Alfred.
Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to
say at that point in time, a lot of the great parochial schools in Boston were going out of business too. Dom Savio,
St. Patrick's of Watertown.
That was the dagger in my heart when Savio went down. You talk about a great school. Bosco too. Don Bosco
was
another one as well, right? Yeah. And Austin Prep was in that group where people started to quit being a priest or whatever. And the other good thing, Joe, was when Austin Prep went to junior high school as well. That's really giving them
that
a
was
boost.
huge.
Absolutely smart move.
That was
smart
huge.
move. You're absolutely right.
Anyway,
I'll tell you,
go ahead.
you think about how many teachers were there. Like my kid graduated class of 2013, and when he started there were teachers there that had me when I was his age in school. I mean, it was such a. And I'm saying to myself, this is such a surreal experience for me to see them. I can imagine what it's like for them to see me, and they're teaching my kid. And one of them told me, I've taught alumni's grandchildren. They've been there so long, and it's a tribute to the school.
Absolutely.
That they've kept that kind of loyalty.
One last Austin Prep story, because we don't want to bore our audience, but true story. About 5, 6, 7 years ago, one of our books that Ellen and I wrote, it was the 100 Greatest Baseball Autographs. We won the Ben Franklin Gold Medal as Book of the Year. My senior year at Austin Prep, I'm going to be honest with you, and Al will attest to this, I was the president of the class. However, I was part of a ring that kind of ran the school. And
Gangster ring.
It was we weren't the best behaved. As a matter of fact, I think I was the first president in the history that they attempted to impeach.
Alfred, aren't you a lawyer? Aren't you supposed to advise him of his rights
True
at this
story.
point before he goes any further?
They tried to impeach
He
me.
doesn't believe in the Fifth Amendment, believe me, Joe.
Anyway,
Doesn't believe
one of the guys that I really tormented was Babe Perilla. And he was a great guy. And it bothered me for 30 or 40 years. It bothered me. When we won the gold medal, I called up, I asked if I could make an appointment, and I went with my book. I waited for him to get out of class, and I apologized to him. I said, Mr. Perella, he says, Zappala, you're back? He said it kiddingly. I said, Mr. Perella, I said, I apologize for everything I did, blah, 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 and I handed him the book, personalized it, and he started crying. So did I.
Wow. All I can say is Austin Prep should really be grateful it didn't have both the Zappala brothers at the same time in the school.
It
Yeah,
did. It did.
Seeming you guys, did you have?
Oh,
were
yeah,
you
he
both
was
there?
a senior when I was a sophomore.
Oh, really?
Oh,
wow.
God, yeah. Oh,
wow,
yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Now, how did that go?
Joe, when I was there,
He used to protect me.
Let me tell my last Austin Prep story, okay? When I was there, nothing was built. In front of the school where the beautiful gym is and so forth, was nothing. And when we got detention, Father Turnbull on Saturday mornings would come out, and Father Stoddard, he was the dean of students, would give us a wheelbarrow.
A rake and a
And
wheelbarrow.
our job for 3 hours was to take the rocks off the field.
We used to work the rock pile.
It could be used as a practice field.
Yeah.
That's
what
exactly
we
what we
did.
had. That was our detention, picking rocks. And there'd be 20, 30 guys there on Saturday
mornings with wheelbarrows.
You go back there for career day, and I went back there one time, and they had an honors student escorting me around from class to class, and I was hanging out with Mark McDougall, who is a great guy. He's a big, high-priced lawyer in D.C. now, and I asked the student, this young lady, I said, you have like food fights in the cafeteria. Sometimes a kid throws a carton of milk, and then all of a sudden hits another kid, and then the priests run in and they separate them, and she looked horrified, and she goes, no, we don't have that. And McDougall said, Joe, he said, this is like a real prep school now. He said, you're talking about when it was a time when people sent their kids, to basically avoid the public high
Absolutely.
school.
I mean, again, the tuition, my senior year, the tuition at Austin Prep was $526.
Yeah.
That was the tuition. Now it's $25,000 or something. But anyway, Joe, a little bit.
Wait a minute. Wait, one last announcement, and I promise I'll shut up. I'm very pleased to announce publicly into the world that another Zappala will be following in the steps of myself and my brother. My grandson,
Right.
Nice.
MJ,
Yep.
was just accepted as an 8th grader. He's a great sport. He's a great athlete, this guy. And he's going to be attending Austin Prep starting next year. And believe me when I tell you, I am thrilled that we have another Zappala in the chute.
And we're working on another.
Really
We're working on my granddaughter Lucy. We're working on it. But anyway, let's. I think we've talked enough about Austin. Joe, you. And all kidding aside, in journalism in the Commonwealth, You've been around for a long time. You've made a name for yourself. First of all, what are you doing now? You're at Channel 7.
Yeah.
What are you doing at Channel 7 now?
I am the enterprise editor, which it's a very interesting thing because when I left the Herald, and I had decided I wanted to leave, the news director, I had known her for a long, long time, Linda Mealy, great news director, great person. She said, let's get you in here. I want you in my newsroom. And so we really didn't have a job description, didn't really have a specific thing or title. So I'm in the projects area, special projects, and I do a host of different things. I mean, I do a lot of interviews. I do a lot of Zoom, especially now we do a lot of Zoom interviews, with epidemiologists and, feature stories and just whatever they need. They use a lot of that content. I assist reporters that are out in the field. They need some research done, particularly on investigative type stories, more complex stories. I line up experts for live shots for when there's a big story breaking, Supreme Court or something happening. We need really good experts to get on live, and I vet those people and get them on. So really, I vet scripts. So really, whatever sort of is needed, that's sort of not part of the daily routine, but whatever the news director needs to have done. It's a great place. I mean, it is it's just such a great vibe in that newsroom. A lot of energy, smart people, a lot of great resources. We were the only station that sent an anchor to Poland for the Ukrainian border crisis. They're willing to invest the money when news is happening, and that's something very rare today when it comes to news organizations. They have a very vibrant newsroom, so I'm happy to be there. It's a great transition for me.
In the next segment, and I want to float this out to both of you. A lot has happened, and Al, you and I have talked about it a zillion times. A lot has happened with the media. What do you believe? What don't you believe? A lot, and this is my opinion, Joe. I mean, especially TV media, national, whether it be Fox or CNN or MSNBC or whatever. It seems to me that it's some of the journalists are looking at themselves as entertainers rather than journalists, and some of them are actually activists rather than journalists. I really want to talk about that, Al, because you and I, we've chatted about that a million times. And who do you believe, Joe? Who don't you believe?
Right, right, yeah. Well, I mean, I'll tell you, there's been studies. There was a study that I think the Pew Center did about. They asked people about fake news versus accurate news, and what they found basically was that people, if they agreed with what they were hearing or seeing on television, then it was accurate. If they didn't agree with it, it was fake news.
Wow.
And so people are seeing news now through the prism of their own ideology. And I think that's what sort of fuels it. CNN, caters to that. Fox caters to it. It's like if you listen to both, I have Sirius in the car, I listen on the way home, and it's like two parallel universes.
It's
two
amazing.
Different worlds, But if you remember, Tom,
wait a minute, guys. It wasn't. This isn't something that's a recent contrivance. This has been going on since the founding of the country.
No, yeah, but not to this extent.
Okay.
Not to this extent.
Ben Franklin. You won the Franklin Award. I mean, he had a right under a norm de interest.
I know that. As did Alexander Hamilton.
Yeah.
They all did.
And the colonial press.
There was a lot of vitriol going by, going back from the days of the Constitution, going all the way up. I mean,
the colonial.
That's how you win friends and influence people.
Yeah, the colonial press. You're right. The colonial press was really propaganda to a great degree, and it was all about partisanship and ideology. But the difference is that today it's about money. It's about ratings, and it's about what's going to spike those ratings. And you remember when Obama was president, and he declared one day, Fox News is not fair. And I'm going to do a Sunday morning show, exclusive interviews with every single station, every network except Fox. Because they're not going to treat me fairly. So they basically said, I'm going to shut out Fox. He felt he was going to confront them. And Fox found out an interesting thing. Their ratings went through the roof. when he did that, because people viewed Fox as sort of the voice of the opposition. They viewed them as, they must say, well, if he won't do interviews with them, they must be asking the tough questions. And CNN took note of that. And so suddenly, it became like, let's be more partisan, let's be more, one-sided, because it's going to drive those ratings up, and the ratings mean money. And that's what it's all about.
You know what the difference is, Joe, between, and I have a different perspective because my feet are on the both sides of the Atlantic over here between the United States. I've witnessed and we've articulated everything that you said and my brother said a million times. Over here, there have been heroic journalists, except what happens to these guys here is they get killed.
Yeah, right.
Okay, their cars get blown up, they get assassinated and so forth, especially the Sicilian journalists during the mafia wars in the 80s and the 90s. And it's, over here, the vitriol is, imagine it being 2 or 3 times worse than the United States. That's how it is here. Because you've got roughly 48% of the population either socialist or communist, and the other 48% of the population on the polar opposite. So you can imagine how the TV stuff is, and also in Parliament. Where it's very frequent to have fist fights.
Well, there are threats against journalists in this country all the time, but it is. But I know what you're saying about how intense it can be there. But for me, the sad thing is the lack of because of the resources of journalism and news organizations today. There's so much is not covered. There's so much that's not there. I remember being in Africa for the Herald. They sent me to West Africa with the Kennedy family for a humanitarian story that I was covering, and I hooked up with this guy from the New York Times who was a correspondent, covered West Africa. And so we were out there in Angola. There was a civil war going on at the time. He's there interviewing the Minister of Defense and talking about the latest attacks and what's going on, and just out there in front of the government building. And I thought to myself, if it wasn't for this guy, this story would not be told. Right. It came down to one guy.
Imagine that.
One guy from the New York Times who was covering that story. And if you remove that guy from the scene,
it doesn't happen.
It's not happening. That's the scary thing.
All right, listen, we are chatting with Joe Sciacca and Al Zappala, 3 Sicilians.
I'm not worthy to be here with the Zappala.
Oh, no,
I'm not worthy to be here in Father Mikey's seat. I'm not worthy.
That's not I can tell you right now,
that is not right.
There is not a town in Sicily named Zappala, but there is a town in Sicily named Sciacca.
That's true.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Hang in there. We'll be right back.
Ciao, this is Esther of You, Me, and Sicily. I want to talk to you about Tommy Amin and the great staff at Butcher Boy Market. Families, foodies, and home chefs come together at Butcher Boy to talk good food and create traditions. They offer the best in quality cuts of beef, pork, lamb, poultry, and restaurant-style steaks and chops. Produce? All of their produce is hand-selected to complement any meal or even to make it your main course. Their deli serves fresh roast beef, turkey, and beautiful imported Italian cold cuts, cheeses, and antipasto. And don't forget the Butcher Boy Bakery, featuring sweet delectables from all over the state, as well as their very own bakery. That's Butcher Boy, where the secret to a great steak is, of course, the steak. Located at 1077 Osgood Street in North Andover, Massachusetts, in the Butcher Boy Plaza. Ciao!
Looking for that something special? All of us here at the Sicilian Corner suggest trying Ristorante Uno, located at 119 Salem Street in Boston's historic North End. For the most exquisite dining experience in an intimate setting that serves authentic regional Italian cuisine and features old country service. Try Ristorante Uno. Did we mention their award-winning wine cellar? Ristorante Uno, 119 Salem Street in Boston's historic North End. Call 617-573-9406 for reservations. That's 617-573-9406. Tell them the boys from the Sicilian Corner sent you.
Today,
Lawrence General Hospital has affiliations with leading Boston academic medical centers. Top specialists from Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center and Floating Hospital for Children at Tufts Medical Center work with our local doctors to bring world-class care close to home. Today, amazing partnerships are happening at Lawrence General Hospital. To learn more, visit lawrencegeneral.org/today.
Italian artisan cuisine combines simple, fresh ingredients with time-honored preparation to create an incredible culinary experience. At Tuscan Kitchen, located in Salem's historic Depot District, talented chefs prepare everything in-house from scratch for all to see. Guests enjoy their meal literally in our kitchen as food is prepared right in front of you. Wood ovens burn from morning till night, roasting vegetables, baking bread, and firing delightful thin-crust pizzas. Prime steaks are seared on a wood grill. A rotisserie slowly roasts marinated whole chickens and lamb, while a pasta maker creates fresh fettuccine. More than just artisan cuisine, Tuscan Kitchen features the wine bar, live entertainment, weekly wine tastings, and elegant private dining and event space. Call 603-952-4875 or visit TuscanKitchen.com to make a reservation and learn more about the culinary adventure that awaits. In Italy, cooking is an art form. Tuscan Kitchen. Experience artisan Italian.
Essex Orthopedics and Optima Sports Medicine is pleased to announce the opening of their American College of Radiology accredited MRI unit at their location at 16 Pelham Road in Salem, New Hampshire. So now, in addition to receiving the best orthopedic care in the Merrimack Valley, as well as physical and occupational therapy at Optima Sports Therapy and Rehab, you can also have your MRI, all in one convenient location. The doctors and staff of Essex Orthopedics and Optima Sports Medicine have been dedicated to providing outstanding medical care to the Merrimack Valley in southern New Hampshire since 1984. Located on Route 97, just off Exit 2 from Route 93 North, on the second floor of the Workout Club of Salem. You deserve the best care, and that's exactly what you'll get from the board-certified surgeons at Essex Orthopedics and Optima Sports Medicine. Please call 603-898-2244 to schedule an appointment.
A loyal sponsor for the Sicilian Corner is Hilton Oil Company. Hilton Oil has been located right across from the South Lawrence Common since 1932 at 101 South Union Street. Hilton Oil Company specializes in 24-hour burner service, oil deliveries, including automatic deliveries serving all the Merrimack Valley area, plus portions of southern New Hampshire. If you want your car fixed right the first time, bring it to Hilton's state-of-the-art service station. Remember, Hilton's is also a Mass State inspection station. Hilton Oil Company, 101 South Union Street in Lawrence. Call 978-687-9793.
This is Cindy
and Mike Kunstler,
owners of Grazie Italian Restaurant in Dracut, Massachusetts,
the hidden gem of the Merrimack Valley.
In addition to spectacular views overlooking our golf course, we have an incredible Italian chef, Benny Curti.
Benny was born and raised in Italy and came to be our executive chef in 2013.
Benny is so passionate about cooking. If you haven't experienced the food at Grazie Italian Restaurant, you're truly in for a treat.
Grazie Italian Restaurant, located at Four Oaks Country Club.
Okay, we are back. Big Al from You, Me, and Sicily, and Austin Prep, Joe Sciacca from Austin Prep and Channel 7. Yep. Tom Zappala from Parts Unknown. Listen, before we get into, we want to talk about Sicily, Al, obviously, with you, and the town of Sciacca and Joe's name. One last journalism question, Joe.
Yeah.
As we were talking earlier about the left and the right, who's an activist, who's an actor, I'm going to throw two names out at you that really hit you right in the face. On the left, Jim Acosta, who used to accost President Trump. And then on the right, Peter Doucy, who was pretty good at accosting whoever the press secretary was for the current president. So my question is, are those guys journalists? Are they activists? Or are they just in it for the dough and the ratings?
That's a good question. I mean, I think they would tell you that they're journalists.
We'll just a little closer to your mouth. There you go.
There we go. How's that? Good?
Good.
They would tell you that they're journalists. You know, I think that a lot of people would argue that they really are activists. So I think that they become, again, it gets down to a money situation where their networks say, look, that's good. We're getting good numbers on that. You know, when Acosta goes toe-to-toe with Trump, that's good. You know, we're seeing that. So do more of that. Do more. And I think Doucy sort of followed that model. Not quite as aggressive as Acosta was, but Trump engaged. He engaged Acosta, and that helped, I think, build that reputation Acosta had. The interesting thing to me is that after Trump left, Acosta's star fell.
Yeah, big time.
Nobody really talks about him. His show kind of is nothing.
Right,
you know?
big time.
And so he needed Trump.
Nobody read his book.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's a good point, Al.
Right?
Yep.
Good point.
And
Wrapping fish with it.
you remember during the Trump era, they couldn't, the networks couldn't have enough, the debates couldn't go long enough. They'd keep it going 3 hours if they had to. As Trump kept throwing bombs, it was all about the numbers.
Sure.
So when you talk about journalism, you got to factor in always the financial incentive for news organizations and the ratings, and that's really
Sure.
what it's all about.
All right, let's switch gears for a moment, Al. So you've been to this. How many times have you been to the town of Sciacca? Zillion times, right?
Sciacca is my second favorite town in all of Sicily.
Now,
I go there as often as I can. Maybe, I don't know, 40 times I've been there. I love that place.
Now,
by the way, Joe, your name, Sciacca, there's one or two ways that you could, your great parents or grandparents got that, either when they arrived off the boat, when they immigrated, and the passport official simply wrote in the name of the town that they were from, Sciacca. Or you may have another name, an actual surname in Sicily, one or the other.
do you know that, Joe, at all?
I did not know that. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, your grandparents. Did your grandparents or their parents immigrate from Italy?
My grandparents did,
And their name was Sciacca. I mean, when they.
Yeah, my grandfather, and they came from I think Tre Castagna. I think was the area they were from.
Yeah.
Now, if I was in Sciacca, would I be treated like a VIP, or would I be
question.
would I be like Smith? Because everybody's named Sciacca. I mean, would it be notable?
Sciacca is a lot different than Tre Castagna. They're at both ends of the island. Sciacca is actually Sciacca was one of the towns where the Muslims invaded back in the 9th century. So chances are, if you do a DNA analysis on your bloodline from those people, you've got some northern African blood in you, whether it's the Barbary Coast people or the Tunisians or the Libyans.
Yeah, but Al, Joe is saying not
same as me and my brother.
Yeah, but he's saying that he's not necessarily from Sciacca, correct?
Yeah, I don't know where
Right.
exactly my roots are. I don't believe that I have necessarily relatives in Sciacca.
Okay. But did you say Tre Castagna as well?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Well, if you're
That's
from
where we're
Tre
from.
Castagna, chances are you're either and you look in your DNA analysis in Tre Castagna, either Greek or Muslim or Spanish.
Yeah.
Like for example, my brother and myself, quickly, Teresi. Teresi is the Italian way of saying Torres. So there's some Spanish in our background. Zappala is basically Muslim. Za-Allah, from Allah.
Yeah, but Al, when you did that
What
DNA, there was nothing that came up, was there? Remember, I thought that it was like nothing.
What happens is it just gives you I traced ours back to 1705.
Yeah.
And even with the blood analysis, Tom, and what it does is it gives you the country of origin that up until 1705 our blood came from, and it was over 98% from Sicily.
From Sicily, right.
Now, if we had gone further back, say 1500s, do some type of deep analysis, maybe it would show back during the Muslim occupation. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, I hope
we have a lot of. We're all the same in any case.
I hope one day to get to Sciacca and have you and Esther show me around, because it's. I think it would be such a great trip.
It's interesting, Joe. I mean, you were at the Herald. I mean, in the North End, there is a huge
the fisherman's
fisherman's feast. The late great
Madonna del Acosta de Sciacca.
Correct. They're all
right.
what do they call them? Sciaccanettos, they call themselves. But the late great Tony DeMarco was from Sciacca.
Yeah.
His family.
Now you had to prove your ancestry.
Correct.
To join that club.
Same thing happened with St. Alfio. When St. Alfio started, you had to be from Tre Castagna to join the St. Alfio organization. Then what happened was a group of them broke away from the organization saying, hey, you know something, we should open this up to everybody.
Yeah.
So my grandfather being one of them, he and a group of those guys, probably half of them, broke away and started what they call the Tre Castagnesi Club.
Yeah.
And for 2 years, they had nothing to do with the St. Alfio Society, and then finally they merged.
I'll tell you, I think it's so great when people come when traditions are kept alive here from the old country, and they grandparents and great grandparents, and the feast, obviously, the Three Saints is one key example of that. And all the feasts that are in the North End. I think it's just awesome that there's those roots that we keep alive and that we say. But I wanted to give you something here, Tom, if I can reach down far enough here. I brought you a little present, and I want you to open that here. I think you'll enjoy it. Since we're on the Sicily topic.
Al, this is for me only.
I bring gifts, Al. If you were here, I'd give you one, but, Come on. That is a collector's item.
Wow. It said, Al, you can, it says,
What does it say?
We'll look on the other side, too.
Tom.
Wait, hold on, Al. It says Unitas Soccer on the back.
Yeah.
So is this like a soccer?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
Yes, it is. I hooked up with the soccer team.
Much.
I hooked up with the soccer team, Unitas Sciacca in Sciacca, Sicily, and just started conversing with them a little bit. And they have a store, and they said, "Well, we'll send you some merchandise." They sent me a bunch of stuff like that. And I know nothing about soccer. I'm not a huge soccer fan, but just that sense of pride, and that connection. I had to go to Google Translate every email that they sent me. But
thank you so much.
I thought that would be kind of a fun thing to have.
Greatly appreciated.
What was great about their T-shirts that they have, or their soccer shirts, they have the sponsor in the front. It's the anchovy company. Big anchovy in the front of the soccer shirt. But it's a real deal. I mean, they have real games.
Al knows soccer. Yeah. I mean, Al, if you follow soccer there.
Sadly, the Catania franchise went out of business a month ago.
Did it really?
Bankrupt. There was no since 1947. This is the first time, and you know how important soccer is to every single town here. It's a source of pride.
Right.
It binds the whole community together, and for Catania not having one, there's like institutional wide depression going on right now.
Well,
So
why did they? Why did they
get a team together?
Why did they go bankrupt, Al?
Because about 6 years ago, the owner of the Catania team and the head coach and the star player got caught fixing games.
Oh, God.
The scores for gambling
These
with
damn Sicilians.
mafia involvement. So they took the team, the from the highest division, and they put them into the lowest division. Okay? And they've been mired, and they had to get rid of all, the president and all those people had to leave. And then went the money. So it was huffing and puffing along. Then last August, an American lawyer tried to take over, but they broke his chops so much in Catania that he just threw up his hands and he bought another team up north. So right now they're trying to find somebody to buy the team. If anybody wants to buy the team,
there you go, Joe.
I can hook you up with me.
There you go.
Well, you guys, my money guys, so I'm going to have to get some investment going. But
I could see him as the owner of a soccer team in Sicily.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
I'd love it. I would love it. Anything to get me to go to Sicily would be a great thing.
Well, you need to go. I mean, really. You've never been, correct?
When you go, I'll personally show you around.
I would love that, Alpha.
How does that sound? And Esther, of course.
And not to pay my brother a compliment, but I'm going to pay him a compliment. One thing about the tours that he and Esther do is they literally go into the bowels of Sicily. That's the tour. That's the way to do a tour. Anybody can go to Taormina and walk down Main Street, which they do.
Yeah.
But they'll take you into the bowels of these little towns,
right,
into these little restaurants that have 2 tables in there. And then Al does your little Godfather tour also, Al. You get you're good friends with the guy that owns the Michael Corleone. What was the name of that little place where they did the scene when he wanted to meet the girl? What is?
Are you talking about the Baron?
Yeah.
In Giardini Naxos, yeah. But we don't, that's highly specialized. We don't do that commercially on our group. Next year, by the way, Tom, I just may throw in one plug over here. We're doing something profoundly different the month of May. We're going to be doing a grand tour of 20 days. Wow. A lot of people come with us on our tours are usually 10 days. And they're saying, wait a minute, we want to stay an extra week or two. We want to go here and there. So I've designed a 20-day grand tour where we're going to go to East Coast from top to bottom, and we're going to give people the time of their life. And right now, I'm still working on that. And finally, the feast is still going on. This is the week now. The feast was the 9th and the 10th, of course, but it's still going on now for the townspeople. And Esther was just there 2 days ago with some clients that she's with. They even went to the Hall of Miracles, Tom. So, it's a good thing that festivals are back. Okay?
Something else.
Life back in
You're hitting it on the head, Joe. You have to go. I mean, you've been to the Feast of St. Alfio a zillion times.
Yep.
The Feast of St. Alfio in Trecastani is totally different.
Mm-hmm.
You have to come back, Tommy.
I know.
Why don't you come back with Joe?
We'll
that'd be great.
We'll see what happens.
We could use my facility over here. You can broadcast from my place over here. We can go to Joe. Bring something for Tony. We can go hook up with the man.
I got a second what Tom said earlier, though. What you and Esther do there is remarkable. You guys do some great work. And what I love about it is somebody who's never been to Sicily, but have a great interest, obviously, in it and what goes on there and the roots there. To watch your YouTube videos, to watch Esther talk about, she walks into a ceramic shop and she'll start talking about, but she doesn't just walk in and say, here's a ceramic shop. She'll tell you about the history of it and the things in there.
That's what she does.
Extremely educational, very well presented, very well done. You guys are doing great work. And
she is a journalist.
Can I have 2 more
first
minutes?
And foremost.
Yeah.
I mean, she was an ABC affiliate journalist in 3 different states in the United States for 2 decades. So she has a different focus and a different view of Sicily as a Hungarian than I do, okay? But she's immersed the culture, and she's a good storyteller, and she does a great job, and she's a terrific videographer. So guess what? I'm lucky that the beneficiary are the viewers.
And what you guys do with the show, same thing. I mean, it's the same
we
sort
try.
of.
I mean,
that pride is there. I know. I've only been to Italy one time. I was in Rome one time for a story that the Herald sent me on, and I was there for about 4 days. And it was the weirdest thing because I really did feel this connection. I felt like this pride.
When you get off the plane in
I kept
Sicily,
on trying to extend it. Could you get that story? You're going to get the interview, and I'm like, maybe you should come back tomorrow. No, I need another day. I need one more day. I need another day. And I was able to drag it out about 4 days, but I did feel this connection.
Let me tell you, we have to take a quick break. But let me tell you something. If you go to Sicily and you walk off the plane, it's like you get hit in the face. I mean, you really want to kiss the ground. It's just something happens to you because that's where your DNA is.
Right.
It's crazy.
Right. You can feel it. Yeah.
Yep. All right, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Al, I'm going to tell the story, and you were at my side at the feast when I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis and what I did.
I'll never forget that.
Hang in there. We'll be right back.
This is David from the Sicilian Corner. Mike, Tom, and I love to go to Salisbury Beach, but we love different things and we can never agree. Tom likes the casual family-style dining with great Italian cuisine, Capri Seaside Italian Grill. Me, I love the elegant romantic vibe, Sea Glass with the amazing view and terrific menu with prices that'll make it the place you want to visit every week. Mike loves a drink in his hand and a cool ocean breeze right off the surf and the rhythms of an even cooler reggae band. We all know Mike loves Bob Marley tunes at Surfside. Who doesn't love a great show? National acts, comedy, regional favorites in the beautiful and intimate Blue Ocean Music Hall. Lucky for us, Atlantic Hospitality is the host of all these great places, and they treat everyone like they're Mike Lamazzo. And best of all, we never have to choose. Park the car once and all of this fun is right at your fingertips. We can have it all in the heart of Salisbury Beach. Find out about all the ways you can have a great night at Salisbury Beach at northshorepavilion.com. And Mike, Tom, and I will see you there.
This is Tom Zappala. Located in the heart of downtown Haverhill, the Haverhill Beef Company is a full-service, old-fashioned butcher shop and meat market that continues to be a valued family tradition since 1952. Peter and Monica Carboni's Haverhill Beef offers individualized service from an outstanding selection of marinated sirloin tips, homemade sausage, marinated chicken, and thick, juicy Chairman Reserve steaks. Your family deserves the best, so call Peter at 978-374-4795 or visit their website at www.haverbeef.com.
Hi, this is Mike, and I would like to tell you about the Deborah Care Law Offices, a firm that is focused on estate planning, probate, trust administration, and elder law issues. You will feel comfortable discussing important issues concerning both you and your loved ones, as well as having the information you need to make an informed decision about your family's future. How do I know? Because I'm a client of Dan Deborah Care. If you want to have peace of mind knowing that your loved ones are protected, call Deborah Care Law Offices today. In Massachusetts, 978-686-4645. In New Hampshire, 603-894-4141.
At Catadella Funeral Home, we reinvest in our business to provide your family with the best facilities. It begins with a beautifully landscaped exterior, parking for 250 vehicles, and a comfortable and inviting access to our renovated interior. Funerals can be costly, so you should review and compare plans to make sure you receive services that are fairly priced. I invite you to experience the Catadella difference in cost, facility, and service.
Catadella's honoring and celebrating the lives of the people we loved, providing exceptional care since 1929.
This is Cindy,
and Mike Kunstler,
owners of Grazie Italian Restaurant in Drake, Massachusetts,
the hidden gem of the Merrimack Valley.
In addition to spectacular views overlooking our golf course, we have an incredible Italian chef, Benny Curti.
Benny was born and raised in Italy and came to be our executive chef in 2013.
Benny is so passionate about cooking. If you haven't experienced the food at Grazie Italian Restaurant, you're truly in for a treat.
Grazie Italian Restaurant, located at Four Oaks Country Club.
Okay, we are back. So I am going to tell a story that my brother Al still busts my chops years later on this particular story. So I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis about 20 years ago. And I had just gotten diagnosed. And Al said, come on, let's go to Sicily. I flew to Sicily with Al to the feast. And At the Church of St. Alfio there, they have what's called the Hall of Miracles. It's this gigantic room with all kinds of letters and paintings and artificial limbs about the three saints curing them. So I said to Al, or Al said to me, why don't you go into the Hall of Miracles and, you know, maybe you can pray that. I said, you know something, that's a damn good idea.
By yourself.
By myself.
By yourself.
By myself. So I get in, I walk in, and there is this gigantic line, right? And, you know, it says something about binary or something at the very beginning. So I'm saying they must have holy water, and I'm going to stand in line, and I'm going to be blessed. So I'm in line the line is moving slowly, and I'm in line for about 20 minutes. Finally, as I get closer, it was the line to the men's room.
But the incredible thing is his arthritis was cured on the spot.
All I did was I just looked, I shook my head, I laughed, and I stepped out of line. And I told my brother the story. Right, Al?
You know, in all seriousness, that's a true story, Joe, but in all seriousness, after our visit to that place, because we went up and we did pray, lit a candle, etc.
Yeah.
He experienced a profound rally, a change of emotional deportment.
Yeah, I did. Definitely.
Seriously.
I know, I did.
believe it.
I did.
I believe it.
It gave him the spark.
Yeah.
My
It did.
brother's a fighter. Us Zappalas are fighters. We don't lie down for anybody. It gave him the spark to get up off the ground.
Yeah, I did.
The only thing that's wrong with my brother today is he's look at he's bald. I mean, that's the only thing that's wrong with him. He's not his forehead.
Excuse me. Don't be laughing, sir.
Alfred, let me ask you a quick question about. Let me ask you about Sciacca. The one thing I know that Sciacca is well known for is the mineral baths, the sort of healing mineral baths they have in the spa there. And I've got a big poster that someone gave me in my kitchen that says a picture of a big building, and it says Terma Ate Mare. It was a Sicilian, a Sciacca tourism poster. But from what I've read about, they have these spas and the natural waters or whatever. I don't know much about it, but.
Yeah, this is the spa air, the warm spas of that area are legendary. They go back to Roman times. Okay, a lot of them were closed down during the COVID period because, after all, you couldn't get into a mud bath, for example, with somebody else because of the social distancing requirements. But gradually, they will reopen. I'm not sure that they're opened now. Okay, I don't think, but there are many spas over there that you can get other things other than a mud bath. But for sure, you know, like for women to go over there for massages, facials, for men to go over there, it's just unbelievable. That's a great town. When I'm telling you it's a great town, it's a great town. The ceramic there is legendary. On the west coast of the island, that ceramic is completely different than for example, from say Caltagirone or Canicattì or Santo Stefano di Camastra. It's different type, different colors, and it's wonderful. And the streets are you can walk those streets, Joe, and you can reconnect to the millennia of Sicilians who have walked those very streets. It's a very inspirational place. When I go there, I notice that when I come back here as a writer, I experienced a kind of like a renewed enthusiasm for writing about Sicily, and it's very inspirational for me to go to Sciacca. Great place.
Interesting.
Nice to hear. Nice to hear.
Now to Schill. We've had some requests from actually quite a few requests. We have about a couple hundred books left. We had a lot. This book has done very well. The name of the book is Bless Me, Sister, A Slightly Irreverent Look at Attending Catholic Grammar School. If you're interested in purchasing a copy, I wrote this book for my kids because my kids grew up in the suburbs and totally different upbringings growing up in the city of Lawrence in a very Italian Little Italy neighborhood. So I wanted them to kind of get a taste as to what it was like for me to grow up in grammar school. So it's a pretty funny book. Basically, it's the story of 400 Italian kids, of which probably 350 of them were Sicilian, growing up in a very Italian neighborhood taught by Irish nuns. You can get the book, it's like $12. You can buy it on Amazon, or you can go on tomzappalamedia.com to purchase your copy of the book. tomzappalamedia.com, and that's a picture of Al. That's Al.
Wow.
And that's me with a little cardinal outfit on. Circa 1959, probably. But anyway, so I want you to have this.
Thank you very much. I
This is
appreciate
yours.
that.
It's kind of an easy read. It's kind of a funny read.
I'm going to have you sign it before I leave.
Yeah, it's not War and Peace.
Yeah.
All right, so please understand that. I wrote this book in a couple of months just to kind of write it, and it's a fun book. So
awesome.
Anyway,
I want to tell you a Joe Sciacca story. Okay, where we finish this thing up. You remember when we had All Things Sicilian? I made exactly one delivery of a basket during Christmas time. Out of the thousands on thousands that we sold, I delivered one.
To Joe Sciacca?
Joe Sciacca called me up and he asked me to deliver, I don't know, a freaking basket someplace. And for him, I got the basket, threw it in my car, drove to Boston. I want to say it was a Massachusetts. I can't remember where it was. It was a hospital, something like that. And I delivered, the only basket. Joe Sciacca.
And by the way, someone sends their best regards. I was talking to Pam Donnarumma last night.
Oh, yeah.
Pam called me up, and she said to make sure that she said she spoke to you recently.
I spoke to her a couple weeks ago.
She said to send you her best.
She is amazing.
She's
Pam.
a sweetheart.
She really is. And I tell you one thing: people talk about local news. She keeps that paper going.
It's amazing.
And
Absolutely.
Post Gazette. I mean, it is a great little paper. It's not a little paper. It's a widely read paper. But she keeps it going,
she
and
really
she
does.
runs it, and she's never
Every day
never
she's
abandoned it.
Yeah. We're having dinner.
And that's true local news.
Next Saturday night, we're having dinner with Ellen and I and Mike and Barbara and Louie and Pam at Grazie. We're going to eat at Grazie.
Nice.
Can I ask a question to Joe?
Sure.
Can I ask a question
Yeah,
to Joe?
go ahead.
Okay.
Of course.
Joe, yesterday in the op-ed page of the Washington Post, there was an editorial by some person who wants to change the name of Washington University because Washington was a slave owner and it's racist and it's offensive. And this was the op-ed page of the Washington Post. Now, isn't there some type of an irony that on the editorial, in other words, who controls these editorials?
That's a great question. The name of the paper is the Washington Post.
Yesterday's op-ed of the Washington Post.
That's
I'm saying, wait a
hysterical.
minute, that's the same guy.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
You know what? Nothing surprises me anymore, and that's a
great answer.
That's
That's an amazing.
That is funny.
That is
Yeah.
really funny.
Yeah.
Really funny. Unbelievable.
And how about those two kids that, this one is not too funny. This one is a First Amendment issue. I'm berserk about this. These two kids refused, 8th graders, refused to call one of their classmates by his preferred pronoun, which is they. Okay? They said, we're not going to call him. We're not going to call him they. So anyways, they both have been charged with sexual harassment.
It's amazing. It really is amazing, Joe. I mean, this is, you know.
Yeah. You know what?
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you.
You guys are trying to drag me down a very, very dark, dangerous road. For, it's, as a journalist who's supposed to be objective.
Man,
you know?
I know. It's just.
Did you know
But I
that
hear
at
you.
the bottom of the, I want to tell one last story for Joe. Okay, Joe, you weren't there, but back in the late 80s, the Boston Herald was instrumental.
You were there.
Very instrumental.
Al, he was there, Al, so be careful.
Were you not in the Herald? You were there, Joe, okay?
Yeah.
Correct, okay, in the 80s. I was involved in the startup of a law school, and there was another competing law school who they try to do criminal things against us. It was a terrible story. I called up my friend Andrea Estes, who was an investigative reporter at the time for the Herald. First, I called Howie Carr, who referred me to Andrea, and she broke a front page story that went on for about 2 weeks that ended up putting the other law school completely out of business. And from the wreckage of that other law school, a competing law school, Massachusetts School of Law, was founded. But it was from the relentless investigatory work that Andrea Estes did, who, by the way, has had a great career over at she's moved over to the Globe. I believe.
She's a great reporter. I worked with her in City Hall. Yeah.
Good
tough,
for you.
Tenacious.
Yeah.
Got to the bottom of the story, exposed the criminal record that the president of the law school had.
Yeah.
And at that time, on the board of directors there was such illustrious people as a guy that was the president of the Emerson College, and also of Paul Saunders, presidential candidate Paul Saunders.
Right.
They all fled, and the school collapsed. It was in Lowell at that time.
Wow.
But if it wasn't for Andrea Estes and her investigative prowess, perhaps today the 3,000 or 4,000 lawyers from the Massachusetts School of Law who are doing good for 3,000 or 4,000 people every day of the week in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts would not be doing it.
Good point, Al.
And she's still going. She's still going strong.
Is she?
Yeah. She's still going strong, Andrea. She's still,
Al,
she's still going strong.
which real quickly, Al.
See here, will you give her my love, please?
Yeah, I will.
Al,
She's a good friend of mine.
We have
work on other projects together. Yeah, she's a great person.
We have about 3 minutes left, Al. Why don't you, besides you, me, and Sicily, and give just the Cliff Notes version, Al. Don't go into your law practice. You have a law partner out there, you and Massimo, and why don't you tell our viewers and listeners the kind of law you do for people that live here?
What we do is a lot of folks want to buy homes here. A lot of folks want to start businesses here. A lot of folks want to move here and rent. So we do anything pertaining to real estate here. Also, people die in Sicily and have relatives in the United States. We do all sorts of probate work. We find money, we probate the estate, etc. We'll do pretty much everything except criminal law. And we've been doing it together, Massimo and I, for 20 years. He's a great guy. I love him. You know him very well.
Yep.
He's been very instrumental also, and he was instrumental in helping us with the All Things Sicilian project over a decade ago, getting that thing started. So, basically it's our friendship. It's really our brotherhood, because he's like my brother over here, and you know that.
Al, how do they get in touch with you if they want some legal work done, or for You, Me, and Sicily for a tour?
Anything pertaining to You, Me, and Sicily, www.youmeandsicily.com, and anything pertaining to me or the books that I've written. I wish I had a book I could have hawked and hawked.
No. It's my show. It's my show. Forget about it.
www.alfredzappala.com. And there's a lot of stuff about what I do on my website as well.
Al, I'll make a quick deal with you. I'll shill one of your books on my show. You shill one of my books on your show. How's that?
Okay. I go first?
No. Oh, sure.
Tom, I was born on a Tuesday, you see, but not last Tuesday.
All right, listen, we got about a minute left, Joe. We love having you, man.
I really enjoyed it. It went by really quick.
It does.
I wish Father Mikey were here.
Let me tell you
next
something.
time.
When
I'll come
Father
back for
Mikey
him.
is here, you have to be here.
That'd be great.
No
All right.
doubt.
Awesome.
Albie, thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate all you guys do, you and Esther. She is the beauty behind that team, because quite frankly, Al, I've seen better looking guys.
Hey, you want to know something? I heard her commercial for Butcher Boys. That's very impressive.
She did a nice job. She did a very nice job. Send her my love. And I'll tell the gang. By the way, before we let you go, are you still on tap to come down here for 2 weeks? Or are you blowing that off?
Yes. No. I'm coming. Tom, look at
the over/under.
I'm getting a 3 freaking lobster at your house, right?
Yeah. The over/under is
You're paying for
forget
lobster.
it.
I'm coming.
The over/under is you're not going to show. That's the over/under.
No. I'll tell you the other thing I'm going to do.
We got 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Yeah. I want to go to Austin Prep and buy some swag. I want to buy some sweatshirts, hoodies, a couple of hats. I want to take my grandson there.
All right, Al, we got to go.
My grandson.
Thank you, Al.
You guys.
Take care.
Alfred,
with that being said, Joe, thanks
you.
again.
Absolutely.
Al, thanks again.
Okay,
and remember,
inviting me.
to our viewers and listeners, if you can't make fun of yourself, please don't make fun of anyone. Have a great week.
Audio Jungle.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.